Hi, good morning. This is Wisdom Wednesday, number 8, Finding Peace with Your Abuser. So the questioner says, last Wisdom Wednesday, you talked about forgiveness for ourself. If my boundaries were crossed, and I feel guilty for having crossed my own boundaries, I need to learn how to protect my boundaries so I don't attract more abuse. Okay, that's good. But I often wonder what law there is for the abusers. There are certain social laws that take care of extreme abuse cases that have been proven to be too dangerous for the victims. This works so we can have some sense of protection from further abuse. But we can't lock them all up, and we can't punish them all. There are abusers everywhere, with different degrees of abusing. When and how do they learn their lessons? Yeah, I bet some of you guys out there are wondering this question. So it's about what is the law for abusers and how do they learn their lessons? Okay, so I can understand, like we've all been abused to some extent in our lives. People have crossed our boundaries. It's very understandable that if you have experienced a lot of pain and your life has been, destroyed as a result of a certain type of abuse, it's very natural if that abuse, if that energy of the abuser is still running around inside your body, you are going to want to have some form of revenge. You want to get that person out of your life and you want to see something happen to that person. It's just so natural because there's so much pain inside your body. And it's just so unjust. And if you don't have as much pain in your body, you're at least wanting to know that the abuser or the one who crossed boundaries, you want to see that they're learning a lesson. That at least they're learning something about respecting people's boundaries so that they don't go around and continue their abuse somewhere else. So there's a sense of justice that you are feeling around this. So yeah, you want to know, how are they going to learn their lessons if they're let off and they can go wherever they want and continue their behavior? So that's understandable. So I'm going to answer this in many different ways. The first thing is, if you are one who has been abused or someone's crossed your boundaries and you've got that energy going on inside your body, what's happening is you are now seeing, because of that energy, you now see the whole world as abusers. So in order for any healing to happen for yourself or for the abusers, is you need to free yourself of that energy stuck inside your body. So first thing you need to do is get some therapy, get some help. There's lots of help out there that can actually remove that energy in your body and release it. This will help free up that deep sinking energy or depressive energy or reactive energy inside of you, so that you may be able to open your heart and have a bit of compassion or begin to at least understand the abuser's perspective. So that's the first thing that needs to happen. You need to release it out of your body. The second thing that you'll need to understand is how abuse happens. So there's two categories of abusers that I've come up with. I'm sure there's more, but an abuser, remember, is only someone who's crossed boundaries. And they could be severe, and they could be just a little bit. So the first type of abuser is what I would call a new soul. A new soul is just someone who's just doesn't know limitations. That they're just kind of like, here they are. They're you know, they came from this vast space like we all do, and they come down onto Earth, and they're in this little body, and they start moving around, and they bang up into this, and they push that, and they're kind of like they're exploring what their limitations are, and they don't know what they are. They haven't learned how to, you know, work with the limitations and find a way to channel their energy. Some of these new souls have a lot of energy, maybe a lot of sexual energy, and they're just kind of like, I don't know how to handle it, and they're just kind of pushing themselves all over the place. So they'll bang up into you, and your job here is to say, hey, wait a minute, that's a boundary. You need to learn a lesson here. That's my boundary, and you don't cross it. So these are new souls. They need to learn about boundaries. Now the other type is someone who has been abused themselves, and they feel such a dark space inside because they have never been acknowledged for the abuse that's happened to them. They're just trying to get by in life. There's so much pain that they need to just push the pain out. And so that's how the abuse continues. It's a cycle. It continues. So if there's a lot of pain here, we can't handle the pain, so we have to push it out. And so the abuser pushes it out on someone else, maybe yourself or another, because they can't handle it themselves. So that's what's happening behind the scenes of the abusers. So, in my opinion, abusers need help. The new soul needs to learn boundaries, and that's your responsibility to some extent. If they cross your boundaries, then you have to say, no, don't do that. And the abuser who was once abused, what do they need? They need help too. They need therapy. They need help. They need love. They need compassion. They need someone to sit down and hear their story out so that they could be understood. And once that happens, then healing will take place. And once they know that someone respects them or understands them, then they won't go around crossing other people's boundaries because their pain has been taken care of. They've released their pain. So the third thing that we need to understand is something called karma. The law of karma. You asked about the law? Well, yeah, there's a law out there, and it's called karma. And this law is something like every action has a reaction. You reap what you sow. What goes around comes around. Do unto others what you would have others do unto you. So you've heard these ones. This is like, as if I start an action here, I'm going to create a ripple effect through the atmosphere, through the earth, or whatever, and it's going to come back like a boomerang, and it's going to hit me. So the result of my action, I'm going to experience at some point, either right away, if I'm very conscious and very aware, or later on in life, and I won't know what hit me. So the question I want to ask now is, can you recall a time when you have hurt another person? Maybe you did it unconsciously. There was no intention to hurt another person, but later on you find out that they were hurt because of something you did. So this is us, as if we're a new soul, not knowing that there was a boundary and we crossed it. So in this case, we're also an abuser. We've all been abusers. And the other, do you recall a time when you were so much full of pain and in a dark space, and whatever, and there was someone around, maybe even a child or a sister or a mother, and you just got really angry and you blew up and you just pushed all that pain out of your body because you just had to release. Well, and that landed on somebody, and then they got hurt. So are the abusers really just out there and only out there? We've all been abusers. We've all been victims. So, in other words, there is a law. There's a law of karma. And this is the law we need to talk about. So, I'm going to talk about this story here that you're all probably familiar with. The story in the Bible. Remember this one? When Jesus faced a mob that was eager to execute a woman caught in adultery. And he put a stop to it with a simple challenge. And he said, anyone who has no sin in their life should step forward and throw the first stone. And that sentence is often cited as a reminder to avoid judging others when there are faults in our own life that need to be addressed. So yeah, you're right. Abusers are everywhere. And that abuser includes me and includes you. So the law comes around. So there's a connection we have with our abuser. And this is something you can think about. It's a little bit deeper, more esoteric. We made a contract with the so-called abuser, the one who crosses our boundaries. And that contract is, okay, I tell you what, I don't know my boundaries. I need to learn my boundaries. You come on earth, you step over my boundaries, and that will make me more conscious of my boundaries, and so I can stand up and defend my boundaries. And my job for you is that I'm going to stand up to you and say, remember, that's a boundary that you crossed, and you need to learn you need to learn that lesson. So this is we're in this together. We're not separate. So it's like we need to release our small little perspective of I'm the only one in the whole world being abused, or there's all these abusers out there. We need to first of all release the pain out of our own body. Once that's gone, we'll have this ability of compassion. Okay? The compassion will come, and we'll start to see that I just love everyone. Okay, so someone's got to stop the chain reaction. And let's say that's you and I. We're going to stop because we're talking about this. So there's 3 more things that I want to say that's really important here to understand this whole thing. Number 1 is you can't wait for the abuser to make an apology. Don't wait around. It's going to take too long. Don't wait for an apology for your release to happen. Okay? And the reason for this is because if this abuser is a new soul, they need a lot of incarnations and a lot of experience of banging up against things and getting hurt and seeing that when they bang, they get hurt. They need to see that. And it may take you a long time before you're going to get that apology. So I suggest that you just go ahead, start respecting your boundaries, don't let anybody walk on them, and that's the thing that you need to do. Don't wait for an apology. The second thing is, say for instance, you said, okay, that's it. I'm going to get revenge. I want that person punished for what they did to me. The question is, how does that actually resolve your pain? Okay. It only makes you feel right, or you might feel a sense of justification that that person went to jail or they got punished. It serves your ego. But how does it serve your soul? That's the question. So it serves your soul only when you learn the lesson that someone wasn't at your gate of boundary at that time, and you need to learn to put someone at that gate. That's what the soul is wanting to learn. Soul doesn't need to have someone put in jail. That's the ego wants that to happen. The soul needs to grow, needs to expand and understand that there's a very special space here that needs to be respected, and I'm responsible for respecting it. Okay, so that's the first thing. That's about you. The third thing is locking someone up in jail or punishing them. The question is here, how does that actually evolve their soul? Okay, it's enough to protect the victims, yes. But how does it evolve their soul? These people, if you were put in jail, and you felt it was an unjust thing, or that your pain was not taken care of or understood, do you think that you would be released and that you would get to learn how to respect other people's boundaries? You can't respect somebody else's boundaries when you haven't felt your own boundaries being respected. So there's just going to, more revenge, more pain, it's just going to accumulate. So they don't need to be put in jail. What they really need is, as I said earlier, they need love, they need care, they need to be understood. They need therapy. They need to release all the pain in their body so that they come to a place of feeling connected and whole. And naturally, when that happens, we love people, we feel the interconnectedness of everybody, and then when I hurt another, I'm hurting myself, and it becomes instantaneous. So the law or the lessons is that that we're learning is that we're all interconnected, and what we want is an environment, a community of self-aware beings, taking responsibility for our boundaries, teaching other people about boundaries, and offering therapy, and just expanding in that state of interconnectedness. And this is the law that we're looking for people who cross our boundaries, like we cross other people's boundaries. So thank you for participating in today's Wisdom Wednesday, and I'll see you next Wednesday. If you have any comments, please comment below. Love to hear your comments. Bye for now.